Hi friends, welcome to ESQ Masterclass. I'm your host, John Ting. Today's episode, we're going to dive into what it means on providing customer service with respect to our internal controls, and that would be the workflow. Our law firm, we use a case management system called 17hats.com. It's not catered to lawyers. It's not customized for lawyers. It's actually, from what I understand, for all intents and purposes, was created for wedding planners. But every feature they have has worked out for me, worked out for our team. Number one, they have workflow. Workflow meaning we have all these different steps for each type of case. Let's say for adjustment of status, filing petition in consular process, or a DACA applicant, or for removal proceedings, because most of the steps are always the same. Sure, in a removal proceeding, of course, there could be other additional steps, let's say like a stay of removal at the end of it. But even stay of removal could be an additional workflow, a separate workflow. The purpose of this episode is to show you how we create a workflow specific to following up with clients. Now, because I've heard of other attorneys, I've even had this situation early on in my career where I was like, oh, someone's calling about their case and asking what's going on while I'm working on someone else's case, let's say like a brief for a removal proceeding. And like, oh, I don't personally have time to follow up with that person, with that other client, but I really want to, because that's why I created my own law firm. And we've had 17 hats for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's saved our team a lot of time. Now, I'm not sponsored by 17 hats. In fact, the only time I've been able to get a promotional reduced rate is through their Black Friday sale. So keep that in mind as that's coming up. Overall, we have to consider what is the ultimate goal for our law firm, aside from gaining income, right? But what is it for the client? And that is, for example, can help them obtain a resident status or getting DACA, whatever it is, getting some kind of status. Ultimately, how do we effectuate that? How do we get to that end goal for the client? And we have to have those internal controls. And that main way is by setting up a workflow, but also providing touch points with your client. Because, there's so many Facebook groups talking about how to run a business, how do we get more reviews. This is the way. It's not just asking the client at the end of the case, but it's providing that customer service during the case. Because if you don't think about the touch points where you just update the client, even if literally nothing is being updated by USCIS or any other federal agency, they just want to know what's going on, because to them, you're their lawyer, right? But for us, we have so many clients. So if you set up controls and add a workflow to each case, then it will automatically update you when you need to update the client. And of course, you have to set all this up, all the different steps. And when I mean steps, it could be a to-do, a task. It can automatically send an email to the client. You can have it pop up as an email to you, and you can review it before you send it off to the client. And it can also send other things like, for example, if there's an RFE, you check off, okay, we got RFE, then it's automatically going to create an invoice. So you don't forget about that, because for our law firm, we charge separately for the RFE, because not every case is going to issue out an RFE. So anyway, I think most lawyers, right, they don't take the time to think about these different steps. So we are more than happy to share these steps with you, this workflow for all our cases. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to whoever's in control of administration of the firm, right? People blow it off like it's no big deal, but it really will save you a lot of time. If you spend at least a couple hours a day just to set up a couple workflows for a couple different cases, then it will save you a lot of time and your team a lot of time and stress in the long run. And ultimately, it's the management of not just your clients, but your team, right? Because may want to know in your weekly meeting, or how often you have a team meeting, like, oh, was this done? You don't have to ask your team member that anymore. Sure, you still have to ask certain questions to your team, but a specific task that is standard for each type of case, like did we receive the receipt notice? we don't need to ask our team because it would show in the log, the notes, or in the to-do that's been checked off that you received already. For us, for example, once we receive the receipt notice, it's going to automatically create an email where we will have a chance to review it, and then we'll attach the receipt notice along with the receipt date and the receipt number, and then we'll email it out to the client. So consider that, okay? Ultimately, for us as attorneys running our own practice, we have to think about reverse engineering it. We usually think about how do we get the client, how do we get the client, how do we get them to pay, but how often do we think about how do we get to the goal of the best outcome for the client? Sure, we think about that legally, right? But how do we think about that customer service wise? So that is very important. Friends, if you're new to our channel, please click subscribe and then click the bell to get all the future notifications of our videos. And also smash the like button, leave a comment or a question down below for us. We really want to know what you're thinking, what kind of needs you have as a law firm, whether you're just starting a practice or you're like 10, 20 years down the line, because technology changes. But at the end of the day, what has been consistent is clients want updates. Hi friends, I've done a lot of talking. Now I want to show you what I've done on 17hats.com. So let's dive into it. 17 Hats here. We're here on the workflow. So I've clicked workflow and I'm adding a template here. So just show you the background of all the workflows that we have here. For example, adjustment of status, enter with a visa, consular processing, citizenship, DACA, it just goes on and on. But I also want to show you, for example, they've already hired you, right? You want to update them. A lot of times clients will randomly contact us. I think it's a better process if you strategically update them so you don't feel honestly triggered or whatnot or annoyed because you have to stop what you're doing on actual work to give a client update. Of course, it's important to have customer service, but let me show you what's going on here. So status updates is what we titled it. Go to add. They have 3 different options: to do, action as automatically send email, but you can set it to where you review it before you send it, or pause. Here we're just gonna go ahead and click on action item, send an email. We already created a template. So scroll down to, I have a lot of different scenarios where we have case follow-up because, especially like removal conditions, it's slightly different information, or if it's a work permit type situation. So for now, we'll click the one for adjustment. Here's a prompt to approve before sending, or you can send it out automatically. You can assign it to different team members. So I'll just set it to me for now, but you should set it to your assistant, your team member. So you can see I've already set it here. So what we're going to do, we already have the standard workflow for the basic case, for the actual case. So we're going to add this status update and then add another one. You can have multiple workflows within 17 Hats. That's the great thing. So I'm just going to, for purpose of this video, just click a different one. And we're going to prompt us after 60 days. So every 2 months we can send them an update, up to you, or every month. So click save, so it just pops up. So it will pop up as a to-do, also known as a task, to you. It won't send you an email to remind you. You'll just have to, on a daily basis, check your to-dos and tell your team to check their to-dos. So this is a quick guideline on what the workflow is and how I set up to update clients. Thank you very much. Until next time, please continue wearing your mask.